What makes Tejo the greatest game in the world is this. This is a major. This is what explodes. Does anybody smoke other than me? Anybody else? All right, just do not smoke around the explosives. You don't want anything to happen to you. Just kidding.
So when I went to Latin America at the end of 2022, my bucket list had just one item on it, which was to get to Argentina because Messi was about to win the World Cup and the biggest party in the history of humankind was about to break out. Argentina held up their end of the bargain, but I was thousands and thousands of miles away and I hadn't even got to the southern hemisphere yet. It was a massive screw up, and when Emi Martinez did that weird thrusting thing with the golden glove at the end of the game, it sort of felt like he was pointing that resplendent golden knob directly at me. I can imagine him saying to me, "What an idiot you are. You had one job." So how did I manage to make such a mess of the only thing on my list? Well, I got caught talking to people. This is Diverted, a 10-part podcast series telling the story of sport and other things all across Latin America, with me, Eoin Sheahan. Available now for free wherever you get your podcasts.
The shop of the biggest organization of fans or supporters of Medellin that is called Resistencia Norte. We're here near to the stadium, in a mall that's in front of the stadium. We sell here all kind of souvenirs of the team and of the group, you know, Resistencia Norte.
Can you talk us through your earliest memories of being a Medellin football supporter?
You know, Medellin in my life, it's something that comes with my family, you know, like my grandfather was like very, very fan of Medellin in the beginning of Medellin, you know. 55, 57, we got the first titles. So Medellin was a team that was related with the popular people of the city, you know, the workers, the people that work in the fabrics and the poor people, you know. Medellin is like a team that's been related with the life of the poor people, you know, the people, the struggles, the life, that is like with the. We're here from Antioquia, you know. Medellin is Antioquia's capital, you know. Antioquia is the department, and we are called paisas. Our culture is called cultura paisa. And being paisa, it means, you know, like philosophy of seeing the life with, you know, you have to be a hard person, you know, because the geography of Antioquia is very difficult, you know, the mountains is hard. So the people of Antioquia has a special kind of thinking about life, you know. They're like warriors, not on a war term, you know, like violence, so hard men, you know, people that in life are always strong, no matter what. So it comes with my grandfather, then to my fathers, and my father, since I was born, I think since I was in the belly of my mom, I'm coming to the stadium all my life. And when I was like 13, 1998, begins Resistencia Norte in the popular north. And the stadium has, you know, popular south and north, and popular north begins Resistencia Norte. And since 1998, I was like a little boy, you know, but I stopped going to the stadium with my father, and I began to go with all the people that in this moment are like my friends and are like the you know, like the living history of Resistencia Norte, because this year we are getting 25 years of existence. So It's Medellin is like our life, man. You know, Medellin is everything we do. We live. There's nothing in my life that doesn't have Medellin. You know, my life and everything I do, because I work. I do everything a normal person do, but I work with things that are related with the team. You know, so my life and the life of the people like me, you know, barristas or resistentes, our life is getting around always with Medellin, you know, where Medellin plays here in another city, in another country, you know. So you put and you program your life, always see Medellin like the more important thing, you know.
You mentioned obviously Resistencia Norte a couple of times. Can you talk us through what exactly it is?
We are like the people know in the world like barra bravas or hooligans, you know. But we're not trying to imitate nobody, you know. That's how we could call it in another place, you know. They call it ultras, they call it tifosis, they call it hooligans. Depend what place in the world you are, you know. In the South America is barra brava. Here we're called like barristas, you know, because we don't think that we are like a barra brava in the sense of being like violent for being violent, you know. Sometimes violence it's a thing that comes with the human behavior any place you are, you know. In the politics and, you know, religion and the sports, you know. In the city, like all the cities, the big cities in the world have violence problems, you know. But Medellin has a transformation, and Medellin is like I think that a very good place to live, you know.
Yeah.
So Resistencia is the biggest group of supporters. We're like, you know, you can count 2,000 people that are always with Medellin, any place we go, any place Medellin plays. Here in Colombia, all the cities, everywhere, every country, you know. South America, we're gone. Every place Medellin has played, the Resistencia Norte has been with Medellin, you know.
Am I right in saying that there has been a really positive movement in Colombian football over the last little while, where the supporters groups have become Barismo Social, and there is a lot of giving back to the communities in Medellin, for example?
Sí, yes, Barismo Social it's like a part of what we have done in Medellin with football and with barrismo, with la barra, you know, what it means to be barrista in Medellin. So Barrismo Social is like social, you know, like thinking about not only the sport and the moment that we are in the stadium and we're singing and we're playing, so thinking that this is something that's related with like being part of a city, you know, part of a community, part of some neighborhood that means something to us, you know, like there are social roots in what we do. So we try to think about that and to try to do some the things that are in our hands, you know. We do what we can and trying to do things that are related with community and with social work, you know, like being in the hoods, being with the people, trying to help, and sometimes, you know, where there's a disaster, and when Christmas, trying to give something to the kids that don't have the opportunity to have some gift in that time, or we try to help the people that are part of Resistencia Norte, you know, because Resistencia Norte is a group that is integrated by people of all of parts of society, you know, like we have people that are rich in what we can talk in Colombia rich, and we have people that lives in the street, you know, that are from Resistencia Norte, you know. Because here our philosophy is that we don't care if you are white, you are black, we don't care if you're rich or if you're poor. The only thing that matter for us is, you know, like going after Medellin, you know. being with Medellin every time, like singing y alentar, el aguante. It's terms that means that we are with Medellin always, no matter what, Medellin can lose all his games and we're gonna love it more, Every time our life is like a circle, it starts another tournament and it finals and it starts again, and you are always thinking that we begin from zero, So like the illusion of the fan is always there, You always think that your team is the best and you always want to win. So I think it's a good moment, Medellin is one of the big teams in Colombia. Maybe it's not the most winner of that teams, because you have to say it all. We are not the most winners. We have like 6 titles of the big league, and we have another from the others, but it's a team with, I think, the most old team in Colombia, el decano, el fútbol colombiano. A team with history, the team that has in his plays a very good history, very good players. So Medellin is a way of living, man. I don't imagine my life without Medellin. I won't be me if Medellin wouldn't exist.
And you're not the only one, I suspect.
Oh, we are a group of crazy people like us. We are friends, we are the people that live this way, because there are fans and there are fans, I think that we are the toppest of the toppest, Going to a Medellin match, it's like, to me, it was an epiphany, I began going to see Medellin since I was a kid. I won't stop, never, to the day I am dead, I'm gonna be in the stadium and in every city, where I can go after Medellin,
Can I ask you as well then about what's happening at the moment in Medellin with the baby football tournament? Can you explain that to us, what this is?
It's like, how you call it, like a festival. It's a festival that has like 30 years now, It's organized for the like the League of Antioquia, of the soccer league, and it's called like pony football, baby football. So it's a very popular thing because it plays like boys of 12 years old, So it's sometimes, like new talents. It promotes new players, and it's a good experience for the kids, So it's popular. It passed in television, local television, and it's a thing that comes like a team from all Colombia and from other parts of the world sometimes. So it's popular, we are fans of Medellin, no matter what it plays, baby football, and whatever shit Medellin plays, we're gonna be there, Yeah. We're like that, we're crazy for Medellin. We're crazy for Medellin.
I must say, I was in the stadium 2 days ago. I've never seen so many fans for an under-12 game. It's amazing.
Yeah, because like it's like something that the families are Medellin fans. The players of our kids. From the guys of the barra. Some of the kids are playing in Medellin right now are kids, So it's like a family thing, We are family. Medellin is family. It's like it's what we led for our kids, Being from Medellin, it's a philosophy. You have to suffer because Medellin suffers sometimes, but it's something beautiful, You had to play soccer like it was like a life and death issue, Always. That's Medellin. We want that in a player that goes to every ball, that doesn't never put his head down, That's Medellin. We are proud. We are proud people, Los paisas, we are proud, but not in the bad way. But in the way that we never are gonna negotiate some things, are proud. If you wanna die, you have to die stand up, You're never gonna die in your knees, like something like that.
can I ask you about that then? Because the pride in the city is something that you really sense, and I guess you see. For me, it's one of the greatest cities in the world, Medellin. Honestly, it's absolutely unbelievable. Like, is there a pride in being from Medellin today? Like, in the year 2023, that it is such a fantastic city today? Do people from Medellin feel proud about that? And I guess, are people proud to be from here?
But you think that now, like, being proud, but like, we have identity, that we are maybe different. Colombia, I can tell you, Colombia is like 6 or 7 kind of culture or cultures, and the Paisa culture is one of those. And we are different people, not because we're better now. No, shit and good things that there are in all the cities and all the world, There are good people here in Somalia and Ireland and everywhere in the world. There are good and bad people, But Medellin maybe has something special, the people, the way of being, the way you make feel the people that is not from Medellin. That you come to Medellin and you feel like this place and the people is good, You don't feel like Medellin has something special, and always, for me, so proud. Always, I'm proud of being from Medellin. Everybody's proud of the part they live. You come born in a shithole, you're gonna say that it's the better place of the world. So yeah, I'm proud of being from Medellin. And being from Colombia, I can't fight with that. Because I'm from Colombia, I'm from Medellin, and I live with that. And I like it, and I don't feel like. Like a philosophy of my life, I am no more from anybody, but I'm not less than anybody, No more than anybody, and less than anybody neither. So, we are people like people in the world, like these times of that we are living. It's times of like breaking the frontiers and knowing and thinking that maybe you thought of people in Europe and another part of things like Colombia, it's a crazy thing, So this is the life, knowing people, talking with people, that you are the same guy that me, The difference that you talk English, I talk Spanish, maybe things that are not important, like. The shit that I think that is good in life is like recognize that we are human, like we're part of the same place, and that's life, knowing and living and traveling. That's like my kind of seeing life away.
That was so good. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
No problem, man. Thank you to you.
So the mecha sits in the middle, or in the clay, on top of the ring. To make it explode, you've got to hit the powder inside and the ring behind it at the same time. Tejo is the national sport of Colombia. The game is over 500 years old. This game predates the Spaniards' arrival to Colombia. But really, nowadays, what you do is you throw a metal disc, and behind us, there are packages of it's not gunpowder, but there are packages of explosives. So when you throw your Tejo, if you hit the powder and the ring behind it, it'll blow up. And so you earn points by making it explode.
It's a pretty amazing feeling when you get that first instance of boom.
He got it. He did great.
I was the worst Tejo player of all time, right up until Chris was like, hey, just pretend you're showing me your car keys. And sure enough, it worked. And we got it on camera.
Absolutely. I've been doing this for 7 years, so I've had to come up with different ways of teaching. So I'm glad that worked for you.
Chris, tell us your story. Where are you from and how did you get into this?
I'm originally from Bradenton, Florida. I moved to Brazil 13 years ago to be with a girl. Never moved to a foreign country to be with a girl, just FYI. So anyway, when that didn't work out, I wound up in Colombia. About 7 years ago, I found Tejo. Nice. And thought, man, tourists would love to play this. And so I started playing just to get good at it. Boom, explosion behind me. You can see the smoke.
So I started playing, really getting good at it, and I thought the tourists would love it. As soon as I started bringing tourists out, the owner of this place asked me if I wanted to play in a tournament, and I was hooked from that moment on. So I've been playing. I'm the only gringo that competes in the sport in the world, and I play in the professional league of Tejo for Colombia.
Incredible. So when did you realize you were pretty good at it?
Well, the funny thing is I think I've gotten worse as I've gotten older. But 7 years ago, I just was playing and I started getting good at it. And, they asked me to play. They asked me to join their club for Envigado. And, I don't know. The rest is I just started playing and getting better at it. So,
A quick breakdown. How does the sport work?
Okay, so you have a metal disc and you throw it and to the pit of clay. So whatever team lands closest to the metal ring, it's called a bocine. Whoever lands closest to the bocine, the team gets 1 point and 1 point only, no matter who's closest or how many people are close. If you hit the little powder of explosives, you get 3 points. If you throw it and land it in the middle of the circle, you get 6 points. And if you throw it and land it in the middle of the circle with an explosion, you get 9 points. In the league, the games go to 27, but here I usually do just 10 points, so you can cycle the games a little faster.
Okay, cool. How big is the Tejo Professional League?
Well, in Antioquia, in Medellin, it's very small. But here, the largest tournament in Colombia usually is about 90 teams of 4 players.
Okay.
So, apparently they tell me in the 90s, you'd have 150 teams going to all of these tournaments. So, but here, just in Medellin, we're lucky to have 20.
Okay, I see. One thing that's just kind of really come into my mind after watching it, just because of what we're here in January at the moment, to pull the curtain back a little bit. I don't know when people are going to see this, but we're in January right now. Back home over the last couple of weeks, you've got the World Darts Championships, and they go crazy. Sky Sports got the rights for that back in the day, and they made it an absolute spectacle. Does Tejo have similar potential in the mainstream in this country?
No. Unfortunately, with Tejo, there's a reputation to the game, and people tend to think of it as either a poor person's game or a drunk person's game. Mm-hmm. And so it's very difficult to break that stereotype.
Okay.
Like here, obviously, when people are playing and having a good time, it's social, you're drinking. But everywhere you do that, if you just invite friends over to your house. But for whatever reason, people seem to think that this Tejo as an activity doesn't deserve that. So in the league, when you're playing in a real tournament, you can't drink while you play.
Right.
If you do that, we actually have a card system like soccer or football, yellow and red cards. If you get caught drinking, you get a red card, you're out, and your team suffers for the rest of the tournament.
Okay.
So, no. Now, I will say this. It's finally in Medellin, it's becoming a little more popular. And I'm the one responsible for that because I'm the one that does advertising and pushing Tejo in Medellin. So, I'm hoping to open my own court soon, and if that happens, then I want to start inviting out news crews and things like that to see if I can generate more interest.
Okay.
Because, we may be lucky to have 5 minutes of coverage on a big tournament.
Yeah. That's
5 minutes. It is insane.
For the national sport.
Absolutely it is. So, it's just terrible.
It's interesting though that you mentioned that it's seen as a sport that, people associate with alcohol. Exactly the same as darts, It's
Right, but somehow that's okay.
Yeah.
But this, for whatever reason, it's not.
Okay. So what is the future of the sport?
For me, it's a dying sport.
Okay.
It's old guys, like me, that are mostly playing. When you go out to the league tournaments, there are younger people that play, but I don't know if there's enough of them to maintain a growth level. So I always tell everybody at the end of my tour, I feel like this is a dying sport. Okay. Now, they are trying to revitalize it by hopefully making it an Olympic sport. Mm-hmm. There is a push for that, but I've met the head of the Olympic Committee for Colombia, and I don't get the feeling he gives a crap about, this.
That's a shame.
Yeah, because, again, I in the last 7 years, it's been me, a foreigner, pushing Tejo to the world. And yet, they just don't look at it. Here, I can make it this way. Colombians look at Tejo as a sport and not a business.
Okay.
And so, until the owners of the courts and, all over Colombia understand it as a business. It's never going to continue to grow.
Okay.
In
your own sphere then, Tejo as a business is obviously quite a successful thing?
It's not too bad. The problem for me is I don't advertise here because I don't own the space.
Okay.
And so I have to get permission for everything I do.
Okay.
And that's annoying.
Okay.
So I'd rather just people find me and and it's easier to do that than getting 100 calls a day from people. Oh, I've got one person that wants to play. No.
Yeah.
You need a minimum amount of people.
Right, okay. But people do manage to find you, and people do manage to bring the minimum amount of people.
Absolutely. So I like it. But I just can't advertise it very much because I have to fight for everything I do.
Life down here in general doesn't be too bad for you. You said you moved down to Brazil and then back up here to Colombia. You're here for life?
As far as I know, I've lived here 10 and a half years. I've been around for 13 years. I'm married to a Colombian. Obviously, I have this business, and until the money runs out and I have to ever return back home to work, then yeah, but otherwise I have zero plans of going home.
What's your favorite thing about Medellin?
Normally I would say the weather, but it's raining today. But it is, honestly, the climate is just amazing here.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is in Celsius, but it's like 78 degrees to 82 every day.
Which is perfect.
Yeah, I'm from Florida, so I'm used to hot.
Exactly. You don't see yourself going back there anytime soon?
No, not to live. I go see my mom, but I'm never moving back. Knock on wood, I'm never going back home.
We've had a nice little bit of a full circle moment here for the channel, because I think one of the first videos I did on this trip was actually to go to a tailgate for a Florida Gators game. I'm not sure if you were happy with that or unhappy with that video, because in a sense I guess it's bad that I went to a Gators game, but good in the sense that people weren't overly sober at that particular occasion. You just pulled up your sleeve there. What's going on?
Well, I have a FSU tattoo, so the Gators are my arch rival. They're Manchester United to Liverpool, so I just can't stand them. But I've been to their stadium a few times, and yeah, it's fun.
Is an FSU tailgate fun?
They're all the same. Although I will admit, the University of Florida is a little bit better because their campus is smaller, so they don't have a lot of parking. But so everything there is really crowded together.
Yeah.
Where in Tallahassee, it's really spread out.
Okay.
So it's just not the same.
Yeah.
Gainesville has a better atmosphere for sure.
For sure. One final question, Chris. Am I going to make it as a professional Tejo player?
I think if you get another explosion, I think you'll be right there.
Nice. Well, we'll see you out there on the court, Chris. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries, man.
I'm delighted to say I am with journalist Karen Ariza. Karen, how are you?
Good, thank you. It's a nice pleasure to meet you.
You too. You've just come down from what is your home in Cartagena to be here in Bogota today. I've been to both places. For you, which do you prefer? Do you prefer being a resident of this city, or do you miss Cartagena a little bit?
A lot. I miss Cartagena, I miss the temperature because I love the beach time. But Bogota has another kind of things, like for example the mountain, and this culture is good to me too.
Yeah. Why did you come down here in the first place?
The job opportunities here are so much better than in Cartagena, especially for people that knows another languages. And I'm working in this moment for Brazilian market, so I can practice my Portuguese too.
What's the difference between somebody from Bogota and somebody from Cartagena when it comes to the people? What are the stereotypes that get thrown out and the differences?
Yeah, they love the mountain, and there is cold here. Like in Cartagena, you cannot use this jacket. It's impossible because it's really hot. We have the beach and they don't have it. And the Caribbean style are more related to salsa and champeta. They are another kind of music. We eat a lot of fish, and here they eat a lot of mountain and another kind of gastronomy. It's really different from us. No more people than in Cartagena that knows how to dance and folklore music, and we are more related to parties, and we love the beer companies and they talk about nothing, but here it's more from jobs, opportunities, and it's the capital issues.
You're a journalist. What is life like as a journalist in Colombia? Do you feel free? Do you feel like you can write, say what you want? How has your experience in your career been so far as a journalist?
To be honest, it's not easy. It's not easy. For all Latin American countries, it's really difficult. The statistics can be more useful than my words, but I think the experience is not easy because sometimes you are really unsafe and sometimes you are really scared, to tell the truth. But the truth is that the better journalists from Colombia and from Latin America, and I think it's a general issue, are the ones that take the risk to tell the truth because it's necessary for the development of our countries and because the people deserve that truth. And sometimes it's more difficult because if you are a woman, you need to prove that you are not that figure that wants to show just because you're pretty and you want to show on TV. I actually don't want to work on TV, but they think that all the women in sports journalists want to show on TV and use the hair and the makeup and that kind of things more related to beauty, and we don't want that. We just want to talk and understand and explain sports because we love the tactics and the strategy, but they don't think that we are on sports because of that.
Why do you think that stigma exists?
I think the patriarchy. I think it's a system that we need to down because there are a lot of taboos, a lot of taboos on sports, on women in sports, and on journalists too, because people think that journalists need to be someone handsome, someone pretty, and someone that need to tell something in a way that you need to hear more beautiful, but it's not more related to the truth and to research. So sometimes they just don't see the talent, they just see the face. And sometimes the stereotypes, for example, I'm from Cartagena, is the north, it's a Caribbean style. Sometimes they just feel like you are not a disciplined person, and the stereotypes, I think it's the more difficult thing to find jobs, for example, here in Bogota. Sometimes they just don't want to feel the accent, and I think that it's not a problem. It's my accent, it's my natural way to talk. But they think that it's not good, that you need to be more neutral, and I think it's not necessary.
I remember somebody saying to me in Medellin, I can't remember the exact quote, but they said something like, if football is the number one competition in Colombia, then beauty pageants are the second thing in Colombia. How do young people think about that statement and think about the continued prevalence of things like beauty pageants, for example, in this country? Is that actually holding Colombia back in a little way?
I think that's colonialism's legacy, because we don't want that kind of things. Of course, we know that the Spanish people has something else, like, for example, the gastronomy. We love the paella, that's from Spain. And we love some music like flamenco and Arabic costumes. We know it.
Yeah.
But we know too that there are some things that we don't want and we don't need it. For example, that classism that was so typical in the colonial times, because people can understand, can see you behind your the last name, or the color of your skin, or the color of your hair. So that kind of things, we don't need it, but unfortunately we still have it. And it's suffering for people like me, like the black experience for a female in sport journalism. It's more difficult than white female from Bogota. It's that kind of experience that we don't want to share, we don't want to tell, but it's necessary to tell it, because people from Bogota and Cartagena needs to understand for equally.
What needs to change then? Is it a government issue? Is it a situation where the government simply do not respect women's sports to the same degree as they respect men's sport? Or is there commercial partners that need to come up with better money? What to you is the next thing that needs to happen and the solution to this inequality?
Yeah, that. And representation on governments. In this moment, we have the first minister, the first female minister on sports, and she is the first one that won a gold medal for Colombia. So she understands better than anyone that it's really difficult to reach that kind of objectives. But more public policies with gender focus, that's necessary, because we need to understand that the female experience, it's really difficult, and it's not to say that men doesn't deserve. No, they deserve, of course, but it's different, because the harassment, the conditions, the matchings that we suffer as sportsmen and as sport girls and women, is different, because these girls, for example, they are suffering this since child.
Yeah.
Since their own families, their own schools, so they want to practice their sports in a safe zone, in a safe way, and they don't get it even from the governance. So I think it's changing, because the policies and the representation is better in this moment, but it's not easy. It's not going to change from one day to another.
And for girls who are in school, for example, who are for the children of this country, is there equal opportunities?
Yes, but not in the same sports. For example, if you are on a school, you need to take that class, no? And sometimes the professor is the first person that make a discrimination of you. You cannot play football. You need to play volleyball, because that's a female sports. That's kind of affirmations that we receive all the time. But in this moment, they are not saying that. Why? Because the female football in Colombia is better than male football in this moment. Because 3 qualifications for World Cup, for FIFA, are changing that. Linda Caicedo and Catalina Usme are changing that, because they are appearance on TV. So it's not just a taboo, it's a reality. So you cannot say to one girl from 9 years, you cannot play football, because that girl is going to say, why cannot, if Linda Caicedo is doing it? And Linda Caicedo is the player that Barcelona wants in this moment, and she doesn't have even 18 years. So why in 5 or 15 years I cannot be like him, her? So I think it's impossible to hide that kind of things if the TV, the radio, the journalism, and the results, especially the results. In the government are changing that kind of stuff, finally.
Because we were talking earlier on about, society and how sport can actually change it. I'm often skeptical about whether or not sport can really, really affect change. But that example you give, that is a potential change in society, in the education system here, that can come as a result of what the women who are going to go to Australia, New Zealand this summer could possibly do.
I think it changes everything, because imagine, it happens a lot of times on schools, but it happens in universities too, that you are on a class and some professors saying something like that, for example, but with more beautiful words, because you are in an academic, But when that happens, you have the answer, and the answer that experience that you are showing on TV. But it happens to you on another kind of scenarios, for example, the public scenarios. And before this experience of female football, if you are a woman, if you wanted to play with your friends, even if they are men or women, in a public scenario, there are a lot of men that they don't want it.
Right.
The exclusion is too literary. And it was before that. After that, they don't have the answer, because you just appear to that scenario, and with with your team and your friends in your bowl, you're gonna enter, and it's going to happen. You are going to play football, and that was my dream. For example, I could do it because in my city we have another kind of attitude with that bullying stuff. But in cities like Bogota and Medellin and Cali and Barranquilla, it happens a lot of times that you cannot enter to that public scenarios because you are a woman, and that's not for you. If you want to be the public scenario for your neighborhood, you need to be the girlfriend of the football player of the neighborhood, but not as a football player itself. It's impossible. Mariana Pajon, Catherine Ibargüen, the weightlifting, they changed a lot of things because we have a lot of taboo about the woman body. And when we saw the difference experience from sports women in Colombia, but with the same treatment, machismo, discrimination, exclusion, inequality, we understand that it's not enough just to say no. It's not unfair. It's unfair. It can be happening anymore. No, we need to change that with actions, and the first action is participation, representation on the government, and more public policies and more money investment for them.
Are you hopeful that will come soon?
I'm seeing it in this moment, for our fortune, finally. But I think in the next 10 years maybe, we are going to be the results in a impressive way. Because if this is happening with all the discrimination that you hear in this moment, imagine what could happen if we work to eliminate that discrimination for our sports. Because Colombia is a great country, we know it. But as I said, we have a legacy from classism, racism, and stereotypes from colonialism, and that's not good, as we know. Because it's a logic thing, because we are on 21st century, and we are living some things like 300 years ago. It's not enough just to stay here and see the beauty of Colombia, like the mountains, the beach, and the diversity. We need to be good for our country, and we need to be good for our communities, because we have indigenous and black people that are suffering that even more than me. That I have that experience that is horrible, but I have also the opportunity to go to university, to learn English, to learn Portuguese, to travel to another countries, thanks to sports and thanks to this passion. But they don't. So what happens if more and more people has more and more opportunities to discover our talents? It's going to be amazing. But in this moment, we understand that sports are a tool for peace, for reconciliation, for conflict resolution, and especially for memory and for post-conflict. Because in this moment, we are bearing on sports as a symbol of, that we can be, everyone on Colombia can be a good citizen. Because we have that mark as narcos and cocaine, drugs, and violence, and we don't want that anymore. So sports are totally the opposite. And as a tool for government, it was only an excuse until it happened, the results. Until we did finally have an idol. Finally we'd have a Falcao, for example, a good person that actually is playing football and learning another languages and be a good person for all the world, and not as a Pablo Escobar thing or a narco stuff. No, he is a good person, that he's from Colombia, and he's showing that he can be good on a football stadium and as a citizen too. And it happens with a lot of sports, women and men. So it changes because the imaginaries are totally different in this moment.
Do you think that Colombia is winning the battle in transforming that identity? Like, to me, having been here, it's not really the identity at all. The identity is the beautiful things, the people, the mountains, the beaches, whatever you want to pick. That is the identity of Colombia. But do you feel, having been after speaking to people from other countries and all that there is still the negative connotation that comes with this country? Do you think there are still ignorant people out there who also need to be persuaded to think a different way about this country?
Unfortunately, it happens, but it's good to me because I'm from 1994, so I was born in a moment, in a delicate moment from my country, when the kidnapping and the bombs and the violence were really, really high. But I was on Brazil 2014, and all Brazilian people just say to me, before the first game for Colombia, they just said Pablo Escobar and cocaine to me, and I was really sad because I don't want that stigma for me. I don't want that people admires that Pablo Escobar. I know that they think they are seeing the Robin Hood, the race in a neighborhood, and I know that he builds a neighborhood for the poor people, but he also destroyed a lot of families, and he also murdered. He also is a murderer, a multiple murder. And after the first game for Colombia, we won 3-0 to Greece. And after that game, all the Brazilian people start to look at me and say, James Rodriguez and Cuadrado are really good players. And the final game was against Brazil. And they were really proud about what Colombia becomes to be, because it becomes to the Cinderella team. We don't have any history on sports because it's one of that countries that starts the football as an excuse and really late. For example, Pelé was winning their first World Cup, and we are starting to play as an amateur league. And they saw us like, for example, you are our proud, our regional proud, because you are starting with no history, and in this moment you are really good, even to win us in our own country. So it was a big change for me because no one started to me talking like Pablo Escobar and narco stuff. They were talking about Falcao and James and etc. It happens with Shakira and the music too. But in this moment we are multiplying the symbols, the good symbols, just to eliminate that. I think, for example, the Germans has the same feelings when someone with ignorance talk with him like the Nazis and Hitler is not a good thing, and we understand that. And that's why we love the countries that work on their own memory. Mm-hmm. And I think we are learning from them.
Brilliant. Like we were talking earlier on, and you've obviously got like a huge body of work and wanted to do a lot more work when it comes to like the history of your own country. But in terms of your own experience, you're born in 1994. What was your first-person account of Violencia, for example? Like, is that something that you have an acute memory of as somebody who was born in Cartagena, or is that something that you often have to view through the prism of documentaries and books, etc.?
I have a memory. I was seeing the television, and my mom didn't want to see the news and that kind of stuff. I know that my mom has that conscience, social conscience, but sometimes I just see the television and I was hearing about the kidnapping, and I didn't understand the situation. I didn't know what was a kidnapping, but as a kid I was with that curiosity, and I was asking to a lot of people, and some people just explained to me, and I was shocking, like a traumatic situation for me. And I was living in the most touristic city of the country, so we didn't suffer the war as the same thing of Bogota and Medellin and Cali, that people suffer really different because they hear the bombs, they hear the planes. Like, for example, a lot of European people suffer in the Second War, Soccer. But I remember when I was seeing that television news about kidnapping, and the next news was about the Pibe Valderrama and Tino Asprilla. I don't remember the thing, but they were really good until 2000, 2001. So I was hearing about them, and I was 6 or 7 years old. And in this moment, I have the feeling that I was picking my best moment as a kid to protect myself, to protect my healthy. And I was too curiosity with football, just to forget that Pibe Valderrama was so much bigger than a kidnapping. I can't remember what person or what people were related to the kidnapping situation, but the next news was Pibe Valderrama, and I can remember Pibe Valderrama because he's so much better. He's a better symbol of my country than a kidnapping issues. I'm thinking in this moment, Pibe Valderrama is from my region, is from the coast. Tino Asprilla is from another city, is from another coast, and he's black. So I had in that moment 2 different idols to see something different that televisions and the problems shows to me as a kid. And it helps a lot, for example, to understand how discrimination acts in our daily lives. Because I didn't understand that one black and white football players influenced me as a sport journalist until now, that I have 28 years old after undergraduate thesis and after learning 3 languages. But in this moment, I can understand that saw them together using the T-shirt of Colombia helps to me to understand that my country is that it can be just white or just can be black people. It must be together because we are like that. Colombia is a diversity universe. It's not just a country. For example, Brazilian people, my friends from Brazil, all the time saying that they feel like Colombia is small from, if you compare to Brazil, because Brazil is a huge country, it's a continent itself. But they are impressive that they travel from Bogota to 1 hour and they have another temperature, another culture, another accent, another way to live their life. And they cannot believe it. They are impressive, and I'm not impressive because I'm living here since the beginning.
Yeah.
But I love that idea of diversity. And that's why I can connect with all the world with no discrimination and no stereotypes. When I went to Brazil, or when I come to, I don't know, when I travel to Paris, for example, a lot of people come back from another country saying to me, there are a lot of black people from France, and we are, because there are a lot of black people in every single country.
Yeah.
We are familiarized, related to that idea of diversity, because we are the country that has more fauna, flowers, but we can see that on that culture. As Brazilian people said, it's amazing that you can travel to Bogota to 1 hour. Every single city is different from Bogota, and vice versa.
Yeah, it's amazing, and hopefully the diversity goes one step further this summer as well, when it becomes not just the color or your ethnicity, but also the barriers between gender start to come down ever so slower as well, and that could be the real positive impact of this summer from a Colombian perspective. Karen, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you. Thank you so much for educating me and educating everybody on a little bit of your history and a little bit of your own experiences. Thank you so much.
No, thank you, and it's a pleasure for me.